The only smart guy just jumped off. There are many safe activities. Please choose yours carefully. It really isn't important what you use to get to the internet. It is important to exercise caution when you visit the internet. It's important to avoid the dangers found on the internet. And it's very important to learn to use the right tools once you get onto the internet. Also need to remember we are our own worst enemy. If we weren't sitting in front of that keyboard, nobody could persuade us to click on that link that will redirect us and eventually infect us. And it's become very easy to fool some people into believing that a link that's being shared is something they actually really have to click on. They try to make things so enticing that you just can't refuse but to act and click on the link. Think twice before you click on any link, especially if it's not a link that you yourself obtained. If it's sent to you, think twice. Currently, every single second, there are 5 brand new infections released. That increases every single year, and there's no reason to think it won't increase next year. As long as the crooks still keep making all that money, they have every intention of continuing with their scams. The front door to your system is your router. If it's not properly set up and not properly protected, a hacker will have no problems getting into your system. If you have a router and you still have the default username and password, because they all come with one, and going to a site like routerpassword.com, putting in the manufacturer, and you will find out what that default sign-in information is. So what you should do as soon as you get your router is to go in and make the changes and change that username and password. I recently had a new router installed by Comcast, and the first thing they told me was, don't change that default sign-in information. That way, if you have a problem with your system, we can automatically fix it from our office. The guy hadn't yet left my house. I had already changed the default sign-in information. If I have a problem, I'll be happy to share that information with them. And then as soon as they fix the problem, I'll change it to something else. This is the front door. If I get in through your router, I now have access to your entire system. Whenever possible, especially when we're talking about financial transactions, make sure that you set up two-step verification. Once two-step verification is set up, you not only need your username and your password, but you'll have to wait for them to send you a code on your smart device. And until you enter that code correctly, you will not get to that account. This is great because hackers invariably, somewhere along the line, will get your username and password, but they won't at the same time also steal your smart device. And without that smart device, there's no way they'll get the code needed in order to access your account. It's one more way to keep you safe. When you get your mail at home, much of the mail that you receive contains quite a bit of personal information. Don't just throw it into the trash. There are people that harvest trash and they sell that information that they obtain. Buy a shredder. They're fairly inexpensive, and anything that contains personal information should go through the shredder before it goes into the garbage. By law, we are each entitled once per year to a free credit report from each of the 3 major credit reporting companies. What you should do is to stagger your request for that report. Contact Equifax in January, and then in May, get your report from Experian, and in September, get it from TransUnion. That way, once every 4 months, you'll have a fresh credit report, and if something's going on, you will know about it. If you send your request in to all 3 in January, you'll get 3 reports that all contain just about the same information. And you'll then have to wait an entire year before you can start the process all over again. So stagger your reports and get them every 4 months. Should you have your identity stolen, or you know someone else who's had that happen to them, contact the folks at idtheftcenter.org. It's a nonprofit They don't charge for their services. The only thing they do is help folks recoup who've had their identity stolen. This is an email I received from so-called PayPal, and it told me there was a problem with my PayPal account. And in order to fix the problem, I was supposed to click on this link that says resolve case. This is called a descriptive link because it describes an action. It doesn't tell me the website that it takes me to. Anytime you get an email that has a descriptive link in it, hover your mouse on top of that link. Don't click it, just hover the mouse on it. And then on the bottom left, you'll see where that link, once you click on it, will take you. You don't have to be too smart to figure out that this has absolutely nothing to do with PayPal. When this link was still live, it took you to a questionnaire. After all, there was a problem with your account and you needed to give them information in order to, again, access your PayPal account. Problem is, you were dealing with a crook, and the information that you supplied was enough to empty your PayPal account. You have to realize that no bank, credit card, or PayPal will ever send you an email to tell you there's a problem and then include in that email a link that makes it easy to get to your site or a phone number. They will tell you you have a problem and they will ask you to contact them. That's it. They won't provide a link. They won't provide a phone number. After all, it's your account. You should know how to contact them. So anytime you get one of these types of emails, regardless of who this happens to come from, if it contains a link and a phone number, it's a phony. Throw it in the garbage where it belongs. Most of these things also contain grammatical errors, spelling errors. This one here says it's coming from services at PayPal UK. Now, why would the United Kingdom contact me when I'm in the United States? Second thing is that this is not coming really from PayPal, but it's coming from something called PayPal. Again, be careful. Don't just automatically assume it's legit, and know for sure that if it contains links, it's not legit. Make sure that you use a separate sign-in for each site that requires it, so a new username and password, and change your password frequently. If you use the same username and password for everything that requires it, and the hacker gets a hold of that username and password, then they'll have access to all sites that you visit that require a sign-in information. If you used a different one, stealing one only gives them access to one site, but it still leaves all the others protected. If you're about to go on vacation, don't post on Facebook that you're going to be gone for the next 2 weeks, because you're also telling not only your friends, but the crooks that the house is going to be empty for the next 2 weeks. And if you do that, you may just come back to an empty house. Keep your data divulging on social networks to a minimum. The Nigerian scam is still very much alive. Every day, someone thinks that for a couple of $100, they can share in someone's multi-million-dollar inheritance. It just doesn't work that way. You will lose your couple of $100 that you send them, and you will never see any part of that non-existent inheritance. If you think that Twitter and tweet are noises that birds make, you really have no business being on the internet. Besides, tweeting should be left to the experts. Whenever you're on public Wi-Fi, like McDonald's, Starbucks, the hotel you may be staying at, that's the wrong place to do your banking and your shopping. That should only be done when you're at a secure connection, like your home. Now, I spend lots of time away from home at hotels doing presentations in person. I use something called a VPN, Virtual Private Network. Mine is supplied by Avast, but that's not a free product. It's free to me because it's Avast's fault that I have to leave home to do the presentations. So they supply it to me free of charge. For those of you that don't want to pay for a VPN, what you can do is to install the Opera browser on your system. And the Opera browser is just the same as if you were using Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Edge, whatever. It's been around for a very long time. It's an excellent browser. but it offers you a free VPN. A VPN encrypts all the information before it leaves your computer and doesn't get unencrypted until it gets to its destination. So if someone intercepts that information, they're going to get encrypted information. They don't have the key. There's no way for them to unlock the information. It keeps you safe even on open Wi-Fi. When you install the Opera browser, go into your settings, then go down to privacy and security, scroll down, and then you'll see a box called VPN. This is unchecked by default. Check it, restart your browser, and once you restart it, you'll notice you have that blue box marked VPN, Virtual Private Network. When it's blue, it means it's active and it encrypts everything that you do within the browser. So everything you do in here, any site that you contact will all be encrypted. If this happens to be red, it means it's not on, it's not protecting you. When you install programs on your computer, you should make sure that you download those programs from secure sites. This particular site, 2 Cows, not only gives you the program you ask for, but also gives you a downloader, which is loaded with all kinds of garbage. And if you're not in the habit of doing a custom install, just do the default install, all this crap will wind up on your system. Certainly not something you want. If you use a custom install, you get to see what's being installed, where it's being installed, and best of all, you get to uncheck all these things that you don't want on your computer in the first place. Some safe sites where to go and get those programs that you want to install on your computer. Number one is called Major Geeks. Everything here is safe. They don't add anything to it. You're getting exactly what the manufacturer of the program wants to send you. Another place is called Older Geeks, and they promise no ads, no crapware, and no BS. My favorite place is called Night Night. When you go to their site, they have a whole bunch of programs that you can choose from. If yours is listed there, you can be assured that it's been totally checked to make sure there are no add-ons, no browser hijacks, none of that stuff exists. The nice thing is, if you're installing a new computer and you have a whole bunch of your favorite programs that you now want to put on that new computer, check them all off, and then you have one download link that will install all the programs you've selected. Apps on your smart devices also need to have some caution attached to them before you install them. They all require permission from you to install because they all need access to some part of your smart device. In this example, it's a flashlight app, and a flashlight app, in order to work, needs access to your camera because it uses the flash of the camera to be your flashlight. The one on the right, Privacy Flashlight, asks for nothing else except access to the camera, which is required in order for it to work. So this is a safe one. Now, none of what they're asking for access to ever materializes until you hit the install button. So if you wanted a flashlight, this is a safe one. The other one, on the other hand, on the left-hand side, has had more than 1 million installs. It needs, again, access to the camera in order to work. And then it politely asks you for access to every other part of your smart device. Not because it needs it, but because that's how it makes its information. As soon as you hit the install button, you grant them access to all the things that they ask for, like your address book, your pictures, you name it, they need access to it. And then they sell that information. So scrutinize what they ask for before you hit the install button. If they ask for more than what the program itself needs, pick another one. There are so many apps out there that you can find those that only require access for what they actually need. Make sure you keep all your software as up to date as at all possible. That includes your operating system. Almost all updates are there because someone's discovered a security flaw, And the sooner you update, the sooner you'll again be safe. On Facebook, when you befriend somebody, you share all of your information and all of your friends' information with that new friend. So make sure that new friend is someone you actually know. Sometimes you get a discount from purchasing something from a company if you make them your friend on Facebook. What you also do is give them permission to bombard your Facebook page and all of your friends' Facebook pages with advertisement. It's one way to lose a bunch of friends. That can, at some time, be a good thing. Ransomware and CryptoLocker. Two things you never ever want to see on your computer. If CryptoLocker hits, it encrypts all the information on your computer. It also encrypts any external devices attached to your computer. So if you have a flash drive plugged into your computer, kiss it goodbye because it will be totally encrypted. If you have a external hard drive plugged in, same thing happens to it. It will get totally encrypted. The only sure protection against CryptoLocker and ransomware is to, on a regular basis, create an image backup. That way, if this hits, you can go back and restore the last image created before the infection happened, and you'll be back in business within an hour. The only thing you ever lose are the couple of days between your last created backup and the time that the infection happened. What you have to remember, since I told you that it also infects anything attached to the computer, if you make your backup to an external hard drive, don't ever leave it attached to your system while you are online. Because if you leave it attached and don't disconnect it, then it will wind up being infected. Let's switch and talk about programs that should be on your computer to help keep you safe. McShield is designed to protect your flash drive, the memory card from your camera, and an external hard drive, anything that plugs into your computer. It checks the boot sector of those devices, make sure there's nothing malicious there that can be passed along to your computer. Your antivirus program is designed to protect you for any programs that you open on those devices. It is not set up by default to check the entire flash drive or external hard drive. I have some flash drives that are 128K in 28 gig in size. If my antivirus program was set up to check it before I'm allowed to access it, I could be sitting there waiting for an hour in order to get access to that device. That's not the way it works. Use McShield to make sure there's nothing in the boot sector, and then let your antivirus program protect you for all the rest that's on those devices. All of these programs are totally free, and so you don't get writer's cramp, wait for the link at the end of the presentation, copy it, and you'll have access to all of the things that we'll be talking about. If not, I send a follow-up email that will eventually be passed on to you, so you'll still get the information needed to get to the follow-up stuff that I pass along. Unchecky. This was designed for those folks that always use the default method of installing a new program and wind up with all the garbage that comes along with that program. It automatically checks and unchecks anything that really should not get to your computer. Great little program, uses hardly any resources, but prevents garbage from getting to your system. Malwarebytes Anti-Malware, an excellent companion regardless of whose antivirus program you happen to be using. Notice I said it's a companion. It works well with your antivirus program. CCleaner, originally called the crap cleaner because its job is to clean up all the garbage left behind when you visit the internet or run any of the programs on your system. It's also a registry cleaner, and unless you're an expert at cleaning the registry, make sure that you leave its default settings exactly the way they are. If you don't, you could make changes and your system will not reboot. Although CCleaner promises to make a copy of the registry before it makes any changes, if you made a change that results in you not being able to boot your system, you also won't be able to get to that backup. Wind Patrol monitors for changes on your system. If it pops up, tells you something wants to run, do a search for that item. Make sure the overwhelming amount of reviews are favorable. If not, don't allow the program to run and uninstall it because it's already on your system. This is the antivirus program I used since 2003, Avast. Back in 2003, I was using Norton. Actually, Norton used my computer and occasionally gave me access. That's when I did some research, stumbled on Avast. I had never heard about it, and it's now been there since 2003. I use nothing but their free product. Been very happy with it. It's light on system resources and has done an excellent job of keeping my systems safe. I have a little video to show you just what Avast can do for you on your system.
The internet never sleeps. Morning, noon, and night, millions of people are working, playing, and connecting online. While the internet grows, serious cyber threats are growing along with it. Avast makes the world's most popular internet security software. And we've built the largest global cybersecurity network to keep you protected, no matter the place, whatever the time of day. We analyze data from our 400 million users and use next-generation detection algorithms based on artificial intelligence and machine learning to detect and block threats in real time, anticipating and stopping attacks before they do damage. Every month, Avast prevents over 1 billion malware attacks around the world, all without ever slowing you down. Whatever you do, wherever you connect, morning, noon, or night, Avast keeps you protected online.
The nice thing about Avast is that it updates its virus database several hundred times per day, which means you constantly get the latest protection against the newest discovered infections. Our competitors update their database once per day in their free version. The sooner you get protection for something that's been discovered, the sooner you're safe. Also have to remember there's no such thing as a perfect antivirus program. Any one of us at any time can run into something brand new for which there isn't yet any protection, and if that happens, we wind up infected. It really makes no difference whose antivirus program you happen to use because it could happen to any one of them. The virus always comes first, and the protection doesn't happen till the guys in the virus lab have figured out what makes this new thing tick and send the protection along to you. By next year, there'll be as much malware on our smart devices as we currently have on our computers. Also have to realize you probably have more personal information on your smart devices than you have on your computer. Our youngsters actually don't use a computer anymore. They have their tablets and they have their smartphone, and that's really all they ever need. Avast offers, for those of you that use an Android smart device, free mobile security, and this is what it can do for you.
Please listen carefully.
How to protect your phone and tablet. With so much valuable data inside, our phones are magnets for all kinds of hostile software. Each day, Avast detects 12,000 mobile malware samples. And you are vulnerable when you least suspect it, like when you're playing games. So if you don't want to be spied on and want to keep your data safe, try Avast Mobile Security for free. We already have 2 million malware samples locked up in our mobile database. That's because we run a powerful virus scan to stop hackers in their tracks. An antivirus engine automatically looks for infected apps, Trojans, and memory card content. It even tests new apps to make sure they're safe before you use them. And Wi-Fi security always keeps your connection safe no matter where you connect. Letting you know if the network you're connected to is unsecure, weakly encrypted, or otherwise unsafe. You can even lock your apps to keep your app content safe from children, thieves, and cheeky friends. Filter incoming calls and texts, block specific numbers from calling or messaging you, and avoid any awkwardness. It's easy to use complete protection for your phone and your tablet. The cost? What cost? It's totally free. Download Avast free mobile security directly from Google Play. I couldn't have said that better myself. There is no antivirus program for those of you that have an iOS device. Apple says it's not necessary. If there is an attack, they update their software, and that's how you get protected on your iOS devices. What Avast does have available for those of you on iOS devices is called Secure Me. It is a VPN, virtual private network, designed to protect you when you're on public Wi-Fi. Passwords. Been preaching about passwords for eons. Unfortunately, statistically, the most popular password in the world is still 123456. Coming in a close second is password. Neither of the two are safe, and if that's what you use to protect you, expect to be hacked. I can also tell you that a strong password is made up of a combination of small letters, capital letters, numbers, and symbols. The longer you make it, the stronger it becomes. And if you have a very strong password, a hacker isn't going to waste 3 days trying to crack your computer or device when there are so many dummies out there still using 123456. We have some smart people that think that, 123456, I know that's not safe. So they're using 654321. I also told you in the beginning that you should be changing your passwords frequently. The older we get, the harder that becomes. And writing things down on a sticky note and then attaching them to the refrigerator is not exactly the safe thing to do, especially now when we have smart refrigerators. Who knows what they'll do with your information? What you should be doing is using a password manager. And if you have Avast installed on your system, it automatically comes with a free password manager. The only password, once that's installed, that you'll ever have to remember is the password to get into the password manager. It's a password that you make up and you need to remember because there are no reminders. Nobody else can find it for you. If you forget it, you get to start all over again because you won't have access to the passwords anymore. So write it down until it's fully memorized and then get rid of that piece of paper. A password manager can remember all of your sign-in information and fill it in automatically when you get to the sites that require it. It can also make up secure passwords for you. No reason why you should be using the same password for every site that requires one when you're using a password manager, because it doesn't care how many passwords you have, and it will automatically fill them all in for you. You can have this password manager totally free on your Windows computer, your Macs, your iOS devices, and your Android devices. And once installed, you can sync them across all the devices. Our customer service techs seem to be getting younger every single year. I think pretty soon they'll be born with a smartphone. There is nothing on this slide that you should ever trust. If that guy from Microsoft called you to help you clean up your infected computer, please don't grant them remote access. The only person who should ever get remote access to your system is the same person you'd have no qualms in taking your computer out of your house. If you don't mind them removing the computer from your house, then it's also okay to give them remote access. Because in essence, remote access is exactly that. The second you grant it, they have full control over your computer, and they have full access to everything on your computer. Microsoft doesn't know if your computer is infected or it's clean. And if you tell this guy that, wait a minute, I don't have a Windows computer, I have a Mac, then next week you will get the same call from the same person telling you that your Mac is infected. They are nothing but crooks, and the best way to end one of these conversations is to hang it up. They now record everything that you say, and then they pick out the necessary words to make purchases in your name after they've stolen your information. And when you deny the fact that you made that purchase, guess what? They'll play back the recording, and it's kind of hard to get out of it if it's all in your own words. The best thing to do when you get a scam like this via phone is to hang up the phone. The sooner you do that, the sooner the scam ends. Actually, what you should do is go out, buy yourself one of those whistles, the ones with the ball inside, and when you know it's a scammer, before you hang up the phone, blow that whistle nice and loud. I guarantee you he'll never call you back again. I was recently told that I was the winner of this year's PCH, but to make sure that the check was actually going to be delivered to my house, they wanted me to send them a $250 good faith check. Needless to say, that was another scam. I didn't send out a check, but many people did. The difference between them and me is all of us won exactly the same amount, nothing. But I didn't lose the $250, they did. So be careful. There's a new scam born every single day. There's a new sucker born every single minute. Again, it's a phone scam. There is nothing that's going to protect you against it except you yourself. Simply hang up the phone and you end that scam. Some words of wisdom. Think old and you'll be old. Think young and you'll be a delusional old fart. If you've learned something this morning, please let Avast know about it. This is how these presentations continue. I don't work for Avast. I'm an Avast user just like you are. In 2004, I joined their customer support forum, which is a voluntary thing. Some of us do enjoy helping others who've got a problem. And in 2010, they asked me if I'd like to do presentations. I normally do them in person. This month, I'm doing them for a whole bunch of clubs all over the country. Not something you can do in person in that short a period of time. Avast pays all of my expenses when I'm out on doing a tour of presentations. I've now done 4 presentations for technology cruises at sea. I needed some help. My wife had to come along and assist me. And yes, Avast paid the bills. So there are some fringe benefits to this. I get some free vacations. If you know of any other clubs that would benefit from a presentation, please have them contact me directly. Remember, there is never a charge to the club or its members for my services. Avast is the one that pays my expenses. Without Avast, these presentations really wouldn't be possible. Zoom, of course, would be, because I'm sitting in front of my computer. There's no expenses. I don't have to leave my house. I'm retired, so I'm not doing anything anyway. But when I'm out on the road, there are quite a few expenses, and that's what Avast pays for. You guys may now turn your lights back on. This is the link I said I would share with you at the end, capital I and capital Q, and that link. This is where you'll find all the information of what we talked about today. And as I said, if you don't copy this properly, you can also just take a picture of it, then you'll have it. But it'll still wind up getting to you because Charles will wind up getting a follow-up email, and that will contain all the information. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Questions for Bob? Before you ask the question, let's use our microphone and try to make sure that he can hear you.
She has an antivirus program on it and is running some of the other programs that I said. It should be perfectly okay. What you have to make sure is that it doesn't automatically, when you start it, just open. You should have to have a sign in when that computer is on. And if it goes to sleep, you again need to sign into that computer. That way somebody else can't access it when you step away from it. What operating system is that computer?
The question really, Bob, is she's now going to get rid of that old computer. And she's asking for advice as to how to sanitize it so it's safe to get rid of.
Okay, there are some programs out there. A simple search will tell you how to destroy the information on it. Of course, the best way is to take out the hard drive and then take a hammer to it, and then nobody will ever get to it. But there are programs that will overwrite the information that's on your hard drive. It takes a while to do that. A very strong magnet can also destroy the information on your hard drive, but it has to be an extremely strong one.
Bob, can you give us a few more words on VPN?
VPN, as I said, it encrypts all the information before it leaves your computer and doesn't get unencrypted until it gets to its destination. And anyone in the middle on an open network who could intercept that information winds up with encrypted information. Totally scrambled. You need a key in order to unlock it. They don't have the key, so they're getting total utter garbage.
Thank you. Other questions? So the question is, what's your recommendation for user names or user IDs? You gave us a suggestion for passwords. Do you have a similar suggestion for user ID?
Username, no, something you're going to remember. The username isn't the important part. The password is.
Bob, there's a question with regard to the comparison between Avast and ESET.
My job isn't to make comparisons or to knock somebody else's product or praise somebody else. I use Avast, have used it since 2003, and that's basically what I recommend.
Okay, very good. There was a question about how often Avast updates on your individual machine.
Several hundred times a day. The packets are so small, you never know it happens. But as long as you're online, you're constantly being fed the newest protection against the latest discovered infections.
The question is related to storing passwords when your browser asks whether it should store your password. What's your recommendation with regard to that?
Very plain, no. It's the most unsafe way of saving your passwords. It's convenient, but it's not safe. That's what you use a password manager for. I actually have 2 password managers on my system. I've always used LastPass. And then when a couple of years ago, Avast came out with their free password manager, I now also use it. I look at it this way. It doesn't cost me anything. It's not using any space on my computer. And if one of them decides to quit, the other one's there to back me up. So I look at one as a backup to the other.
Bob, the question is, Avast gives you a free program. What is the advantage to Avast for doing that?
You become part of the over 400 million users out there who run interference. As I said in the beginning, there's no such thing as a perfect antivirus program. So if you happen to stumble onto something brand new, that information is automatically passed on to the guys in the virus lab so they can help protect everyone else. You will have gotten infected, but it makes the availability to protect everyone else that much faster. That's correct.
Where does the money come from for Avast to provide that free service?
Well, Avast, number one, the free service, you will on occasion get a pop-up to ask you to purchase the paid program. There's a little X in the box if you don't want it, or you wait 20 seconds and it automatically disappears. But there are between 3 and 15% of those that start with a free product that somewhere along the line will try the paid product. And when you consider 3 to 15% of 400 million, that's not peanuts. That's lots and lots of money. Avast also makes an excellent program for the business end. That's never free. It's expensive, it's good, and that's where most of its money comes from.
Bob, is there phone support for Avast?
Avast offers third-party phone support, and I would tell you right off the bat, don't ever call that number. Although they are required under their contract to provide quite a bit of free services, their main concern seems to be to sell their own service contract. If you need help, visit me on the forum. Avast has an excellent customer support forum, but it's a forum, it's not a phone. Okay, I was just calling you back because I lost you again.
We're back. We lost you for a minute there.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
What does the Avast cost if you want the paid version?
Go online and take a look. I don't know. Don't use it.
Okay, that's fair.
Also, in the information that I pass along, you will have one section, page 1 of that information, and it's 3 pages long, is exactly how to safely and correctly install Avast. And that would be whether you use the free version or one of their paid versions. Because if you currently have an antivirus program on your system, it needs to be totally removed before you can install Avast. And to do that, you need to use a removal tool. Each one of us has a removal tool. Just using the normal removal through Windows only takes out a small part of a very large program. You have to remove all of it before you install a new antivirus. So that's part 1 of the instructions that get passed along to you.
Is the topic of defragmenting the hard drive, does that intersect with Avast at all?
No, it doesn't. And if you're running Windows, actually Windows 8 up through 10, it automatically defrags your hard drive. It isn't really necessary to do that on a regular basis anymore, the way we used to do it back when we were running XP.
Yes, Bob, we're just looking at the URL that you provided, making sure that everybody understands what it is. So it's goo.gl/5v4s_I_Q.
Correct. I use Google's shortening service to shorten a very long link to a document on my Google Drive. And I use Google's service because it checks to make sure that anything it shortens contains nothing malicious. If it does, it won't shorten a link.
Bob, I think that's it. We want to thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks for having me. Hope to see you again next year.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.